Hey, what's going on, guys? So, getting right into it, I often see this question floating around the internet, and it's often a topic of great debate. Is Superman an allegory for Moses? Because the creators, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, they were two Jewish boys. Therefore, because they were Jewish, Superman has to represent a figure from Jewish mythology, and by extension, has to be Jewish himself.
Yes, but actually no.
Okay, so regarding the latter, in the case of Superman's Jewish heritage, first of all, he's not real. Okay, Superman's heritage is paper and ink. He's a fictional character. It doesn't really matter. So when I see people get up in arms about that, I don't know, it just kind of seems silly to me. But if we're going to be sincere about this, Superman is one of those characters where, first of all, he wouldn't really have an earthly heritage because he's an alien from outer space. His heritage is Kryptonian. It sort of goes hand in hand with the whole last son of Krypton thing. Except when he's not the last son of Krypton. But for all intents and purposes, he's the last son of Krypton. But secondly, I think Superman is archetypal enough to the point where I think a case can be made to where, as long as you maintain the fundamentals of what makes Superman, Superman? Doomed planet, desperate scientist, last hope, kindly couple, bing bang boom, blue body condom with the red S on the chest and the red cape on the back, and wants to dedicate his life to saving people, then you done made yourself a proper Superman. Everything in between is just detail work chalked up to personal preference. Which includes race and religious upbringing, if any. Now, in the case of the former, regarding the question of whether Superman is an allegory for Moses, okay. Let's first track why this question is being asked and where it comes from in the first place. So, going back to, I want to say, the first two Richard Donner Superman movies, these two films play a major role in Superman being seen as a Christ-like figure, because there are a lot of parallels between Superman and Jesus Christ in the original Superman film duology, with Jor-El acting as the Father who art in heaven, bestowing upon humanity his only begotten Son with the express purpose of saving humanity from themselves. And there's even a lot of visual motifs here and there, with Superman's, space stroller being shaped like the North Star, and scenes where Superman is talking to Jor-El in the Fortress of Solitude, mirroring Jesus talking to God in the Gethsemane's Garden. And later on in the comics, a lot of those themes are played up even more. Especially when you get to the 90s with the death and return of Superman, where Superman is killed, but there's also these false prophets who try to take his place, but then he's resurrected. And then later on, when Superman comes back to film, we get Superman Returns, which acts as a sequel to the Donner films. And they kind of subvert the Jesus allegory a little bit, where Superman is now the father, and that kid that he had with Lois is now the miracle child. And then later on, Zack Snyder reboots the Superman franchise, and he does this whole Justice League trilogy, which we see these themes and ideas play out as well, where Superman is, again, Jesus, and the Justice League are almost like his apostles who gather in his name. And fair's fair, a lot of people got sick of it, particularly comic book fans. And if we're just going to keep it a buck, the vast majority of comic book fans aren't exactly the religious type. If anything, most of them are either running away from religion or actively fighting against it. So, over the years, there's been this real sense of bitterness towards any connection between Superman and Jesus, on top of it just being an overused allegory already. But I want to say in the past 2 or 3 years, I've started to see people push their glasses against the bridge of their nose and say, "Nah, well, actually, Superman's creators, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, they were Jewish. Therefore, if Superman is going to be used as a religious allegory for any biblical figure, it should be Moses and not Jesus." And to be fair, there's something there. Kind of. Because if you look at both Superman and Moses, the similarities in their respective origins are indisputable. Both are children from civilizations ravaged by destruction. Both were placed in a transport vessel by their parents as a last-ditch effort to save their child. And both were discovered by a new family and raised by their adoptive parents as one of their own. So that connection is pretty fucking crystal clear. However, beyond that, all of their similarities wither and die. Because Superman and Moses wind up being two radically different characters with two radically different pathologies? Pathogens? Pathologies. Yeah, pathologies. I'm going to stick with that one. I know it's not right, but I'm not going to fix it because you know what the fuck I'm trying to say. See, the thing with Moses is that he wasn't discovered by a couple of humble countryside folk. This dude was discovered and raised by the fucking Pharaoh. This man was raised in the lap of luxury, and in a very ironic twist of fate, lived off of the oppression of his own people, the Jews, and was set to rule over Egypt. But then came his call to action, when he witnesses one of his guards getting a little too rough with one of the Jewish slaves, and then Moses just straight up kills the guard, sparing the slave's life, and this puts Moses down a path where he reconnects with his long-lost mother, and he's made aware of his true heritage, and then he's faced with this existential crisis. Is he Jewish, or is he Egyptian royalty? Where should his loyalties lie? With the oppressed, who are his bloodline, or the oppressors, who took him in and gave him love as though he were one of theirs? And then Moses makes a choice. After tripping balls in the desert and talking to God, he chooses to lead a rebellion and save the Jews from the Egyptians, the people who raised him, and whom he called family for so many years of his life. And look, man, I don't know what to tell you. None of that shit sounds like Superman to me. Superman is a refugee from a dead planet, and the Kryptonians were anything but oppressed. They were a shitty, ethno-supremacist, fascist people. Their planet died because of their own self-destructive beliefs. And just a quick tip, if you're trying to compare the Kryptonians to the Jews, I really don't think you're making the connection I would at least like to hope you think you're making. But even beyond that, Clark wasn't raised in the lap of luxury like Moses was. He was raised by a couple of humble farmers in the middle of nowhere. And again, unlike Moses, Clark never faced an existential crisis where he had to choose between the people who raised him and the people he comes from. Usually because the people he comes from make it really fucking easy to pick a side. Now, with that said, in the comics currently, Philip Kennedy Johnson is wrapping up his War Saga storyline where Clark comes in contact with an ancient offshoot Kryptonian tribe, which was enslaved by Mongol, and Superman goes to Warworld to save his people from their oppressors. And, I mean, that's a pretty clear allegory for Moses. It's not perfect, but neither are any of the Jesus allegories. Anyways, Philip Kennedy Johnson is doing a lot of legwork to pay homage to Superman's Jewish roots, as it were. Now, does that mean that Superman is a clear-cut allegory for Moses and not Jesus? No. Just like the death and return of Superman doesn't delegitimize any allegory that can be drawn between Superman and Hercules, which is another comparison often drawn between Superman and a religious character in mythology, or Superman and Balder the Brave from Norse mythology, or Superman and Samson, or Superman and Gilgamesh, or Superman and Rama from the Ramayana. Like, bro, Superman, much like every other character in comics, is inspired by a vast variety of figures in world mythology, both past and present. He's not just Jesus Christ or Moses or this or that. He's a hodgepodge of various characters and ideas. So, to answer the question, is Superman Moses or Jesus? Well, he's kind of both and he's kind of neither. So, shut the fuck up, stop arguing about it, just sit back and enjoy Superman, be it through comics, TV, film, or gaming. One day, hopefully one day, sooner rather than later. Anyways, I'm the Mystical Green Beanie. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time, adios nachos, adios.